Welcome back everyone. We're here to cover Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer mode titled Legends, which is free for all players who currently own Ghost of Tsushima. Let me start off by saying that Sucker Punch delivered a great experience with Legends, which reminds me of a time when gaming developers delivered finished and polished content. Legends will have players working towards ranking up each of their classes to unlock more of that character's techniques. You'll also be building your gear score through obtaining gear drops through the completion of missions. This gear is practically universal between all four classes except for a few class specific pieces. As you increase your gear score, you'll gain access to higher difficulties, which will provide for better rewards and increased experience. Players will also be able to complete milestones and challenges to unlock cool looking cosmetics, and players will be able to create builds around their specific playstyles. Legends offers 4 different options in relation to playstyles, this being the Ronin, which plays similar to that of a support class, offering teammates healing, as well as the ability to revive down allies, which comes in handy during the more difficult missions. There aren't too many ways for players to heal aside from offerings and health drums, which don't replenish after use during a match, so one can never go wrong with a Ronin on their squad. The Assassin plays, well, like an assassin. They are elusive and have the ability to vanish and do more damage during assassinations than any other class with the correct skills equipped. Their vanish ability also comes in handy with reviving teammates if your allies all get down or you don't have a Ronin in your squad to revive everyone with his ultimate. The Hunter's abilities are centered around ranged combat, but fear not, like every other class, she does have a katana for close quarters combat if need be. When you increase your rank with this character, you can start to build around headshot damage amongst other things. Also, once you start to unlock legendary gear, you'll run across a bow from which your arrows don't descend. This allows you to shoot your bow like a semi-automatic rifle, with each arrow heading straight for its designated target without the need of drawing your bow for the desired range. Last but not least, the Samurai serves as the tank. With increased health and the highest DPS out of all classes when certain skills are equipped, the Samurai comes in handy during higher level missions when players are faced with a multitude of Oni, which are the more difficult to take down compared to their non-elite counterparts. Samurai have 2 tactical skills to choose from, that including his leech ability, which allows him to siphon health from enemies, or if you want to take a more offensive approach, his explosive strikes, which do increased damage to any unlucky foe who find themselves on the other end of his sword. Legends features 3 modes for players to choose from. Story missions only support up to 2 players, while survival and the raid support up to 4. Unfortunately, the first 2 modes utilize matchmaking, whereas the raid does not. There are 9 3-staged story missions for players to journey through. Players will be taking on Tengu or demons, which include new enemy types that aren't present in the single player campaign. Also, there are a few puzzles that players will encounter requiring a team effort to solve. All 9 missions have an overlaying theme and an antagonist, Io. Players will eventually come face to face with Io in Chapter 3 of the raid. The devs recommend that all players complete Legends story missions and have obtained a 105 gear score before tackling the raid. There are 4 survival maps for players to conquer. At the start of each mission, players are required to overtake 3 points of interest. After this has been done, players will then have to defend these points from each subsequent wave of enemies. If left uncontested, the enemy can retake these points at any time during the match, which will result in health penalties to the players. The chosen difficulty determines how many waves of enemies players will have to endure before the conclusion of the match. Bronze will have players facing 15 waves of enemies, while Gold will require to endure 25 waves. Players will also be tested with even more difficult missions found under the Challenges tab. These are rotated out weekly. One weekly challenge consists of a story and survival mission, but on the Nightmare difficulty. These challenges will have you replaying a mission, but with a modifier attached. For example, a volley of arrows that occasionally rain down on a player's head at any given moment. Also, you'll run across more elite enemies than usual. Lastly, the raid, which requires extreme communication between teammates. I highly advise anyone without a mic not to partake in this mode. The raid consists of 3 chapters and requires a minimum gear score of 100. It was very refreshing to play a raid again since I haven't experienced one since playing Destiny 2 3 years prior. My team enjoyed learning how to make it through the level without any markers indicating us where to go or what to do. The puzzles weren't too overbearing and were present enough to be enjoyable without them feeling too tedious. We had a blast making it through Chapter 1, and I personally am excited to see what the rest of the raid has in store for us. At the lobby, players will also notice numbers at the top of the screen. Essentially, these are used to re-roll gear pieces or the stats on them when players start to get an idea on the build they've decided to run. The higher the rarity, the greater the cost. Unused gear pieces or duplicates can be broken down as well, which in return will contribute to the number of crafting items the player has at their disposal. There are a total of 3 different categories. Overall, me and my buddies had a blast with Legends. We all had a great experience grinding through missions for better gear. Legends took the best of Ghost of Tsushima, which in my opinion was its combat, and kept giving us that sense of satisfaction that we get from consistently striking enemies down without the adventuring in between. I'm sorry, sometimes I don't finish open world games because of all the travel time from point A to point B without any action in between. But anyway, I digress. Hats off to Sucker Punch for implementing the ping feature to communicate with randoms, since my group isn't always online. So we'll close this video out with some pros and cons. Pros is that the game is fun and rewarding, and there's a lot of content and rewards to work towards. The cons, well, during survival, the number of waves, in my opinion, should be lessened by 5. So instead of Bronze having 15 waves, maybe it be brought down to 10. And Nightmare should only have about 25. Also, during those survival missions, the grappling hooks can be very inconsistent, so I would say to the devs, just optimize the hooks for players to approach them from more than just 2 directions, being the front and the back. So, we are dubs only, and we always give games a dub or L. And of course, if you kind of refer to the content, you already know I'm gonna get this motherfucker. We gonna get us a dub. Yeah. If you got Ghost of Tsushima, try this shit out, cause it's dope. It's super dope. Here's a funny thing. I put more time into Legends than I have the main campaign. Man, sometimes I just like me some action. Well, thank you guys for stopping by, and you have a beautiful day.